an act of genocide by proxy against the Amhara people. The Amhara people, the Fano, will never participate in any peace talk facilitated by Mike Hammer, Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa. An open letter to Antony Blinken, United States Secretary of State. There are 50 million African Americans and several million immigrants with organic ties with Africa. Yet, China dominates development partnership with Africa. China is literally becoming the inextricable partner with Africa. America is not even a junior partner. As an American, this concerns me gravely. My open letter begins with the above observation because the current reality is a direct consequence of the myopic US policy in Africa. I'm compelled to write this letter because the US State Department appears to be totally clueless about how Africans perceive the role of the United States in Africa and the build-up of intense anti-American sentiment. Case in point, the conflict that almost caused an implosion of the Horn of Africa, namely TPLF's invasion of the Amhara and Afar regions and its subsequent attempt to overthrow the government. We recall with great consternation the shocking propaganda by various US authorities and institutions, including the US State Department, the Federal Aviation Administration FAA, and Voice of America in support of the TPLF. At the time, it was ravaging Amhara and Afar communities and marching towards the capital city. Several covert and overt attempts were made by the United States to cause diplomatic stampede, the flight of foreign missions out of Ethiopia. One shocking disinformation was the FAA's official statement that the Ethiopian Airlines may be struck by surface-to-air missiles. The US also interfered with Ethiopia's sovereignty by continuously declaring Walqait as Western Tigray. I happen to know from highly reliable sources that management and staff of Voice of America were instructed to refer to Walqait as Western Tigray. All this while the Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa repeatedly declared the US to be, quote, an honest broker, unquote. I'll be brutally honest because there is so much at stake. Ambassador Mike Hammer is known among Ethiopians and Eritreans as a master of deception, a soft-spoken diplomat whose words should be taken with unrelenting suspicion and whose actions seriously scrutinized for their underlying motives. It is impossible for any peace talk effort to even begin with a Fano with Ambassador Mike Hammer as the main player. Brief background. At the end of August 2022, the TPLF was totally wiped out. The only option left for its leadership was to be eliminated or surrender in exchange for safe passage to a third country. For reasons that I do not want to get into at this point, the US State Department interfered with Ambassador Mike Hammer as the chief architect and threw an unexpected lifeline to the TPLF. This lifeline was the Pretoria Agreement, the so-called Cessation of Hostility Agreement, COHA, signed on November 2nd, 2022. The COHA effectively resurrected the TPLF, the cancer of Tigray and of the Ethiopian people. After sacrificing 500,000 children of Tigray in the war, the TPLF was given a new identity to kill what was left of Tigray's children by starvation. Once back to life, the TPLF started selling food donated to feed Tigray's children in the open market, causing donors to completely stop food aid. Another beneficiary of the Pretoria Agreement is the genocidal regime of Abiy Ahmed. The architect of Amhara genocide, Abiy Ahmed, was given a new identity authenticated by Biden administration's shameful act of lifting his government's human rights violator designation and the subsequent recommendation of the same to the US Congress, thus clearing the way for new economic aid. This wicked act by the State Department effectively presented a clean towel for Abiy Ahmed to wipe clean his blood-stained hands and to continue his fiendish reign of terror with relative impunity. In return, Abiy Ahmed was instructed to 1. Bring TPLF back into its government, 2. Disarm Amhara Special Forces and the Fano, and 3. Surrender Wolqayt, Tagade, Tallemt, Humara, and Raya to the TPLF. In so doing, Special Envoy Mike Hammer essentially declared genocide by proxy against the Amhara people. In his earnest effort to expeditiously complete the task assigned to him by Mike Hammer, Abiy Ahmed declared an all-out brutal war using every possible weapon available to him, including drones, against the Amhara people, murdering innocent priests, farmers, women, and children. Let's stop the pretension and the cover-up. The current uprising, resistance movement of the Fano, is a direct result of the treacherous Pretoria Agreement, courtesy of the United States State Department and Ambassador Mike Hammer's legacy. The overwhelming majority of Ethiopians believe that the TPLF would not have done any better had it placed one of its members as a U.S. envoy to the Horn of Africa. What we see in the State Department today, in as far as Ethiopia is concerned, is a visible action of the invisible hands of the friends of the TPLF and the former Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, showing their enduring love and loyalty motivated by various interests. Some in the State Department, such as Mike Hammer's advisor, have a very personal interest, having adopted children from Tigray. We recall with palpable agony how the former Secretary of State Susan Rice exalted one of the cruelest leaders Africa has ever had, Mr. Zenawi, as, quote, uncommonly wise, brilliant, selfless, and a true friend, unquote. The same demented, impious alliance is manifesting itself in the current State Department's shocking alliance with the TPLF. Conclusion and recommendation. If the Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa truly cares about bringing peace to the Horn, as opposed to painting a rosy picture of his legacy, he should accept the fact that he has grossly miscalculated. No amount of cover-up can hide the fact that his solution is the problem. The equation he constructed, which marginalized the Amhara people completely and attempted to deprive them of their ancestral land, has generated a divide by zero error. Ambassador Mike Hammer has a conflict of interest. He should resign effective immediately in the interest of peace to the Horn of Africa. As an American citizen of Ethiopian origin, I will say with certainty that Ethiopians look forward to a strong and unconditional stand from the United States that is commensurate with its stature as a leader of the free world. At the very least, President Biden should issue an executive order and implement the Global Magnitsky Act and send a powerful message of solidarity with victims and help address accountability gaps created by the State Department's heavily biased and misguided policy on Ethiopia, including the acknowledgement of the right of the Amhara people to demand the annulment of the Pretoria Agreement, specifically terms that concern with Amhara ancestral land.
ዳኛቸው ተሾመ, March 10, 2024, Los Angeles, California.